It's beer o'clock on LIDL Craft Beer, carrying on with the LIDL Craft Beer Festival October 2021 beers. We have a can of Harbour Broken Waves Funky IPA coming in at 4.8% ABV in a 330ml can. These guys are based in Curland, North Cornwall. Harbour Brewing Company. They used to have a lot of their beers years ago with Morrison's. And they used to have a few of their beers with Asda. But I haven't seen their beers in Morrison's or Asda for a while, but they've seemed to have made their way into Lidl's these days as part of their beer festival. You can't buy it all the time. It's just a kind of... Now, here it is. Now it's not type beer, because it's a beer festival that's in for 1 week in Lidl. If you're lucky, they wouldn't have sold all these beers in the first week in your local Lidl. So if you have a look down the beer aisle, you might find the odd can of this. Whether it's worth picking up, we'll have a look now and give you our best description and our best idea of what we have in the glass and what we have in the aroma and the taste. But it's poured out a nice kind of 2-finger white head, hazy looking IPA. It is a funky, oh look at this camera, there you go, is that better? It is a funky IPA, so it will, I'm not surprised it's got a bit of haze going on at all here, not surprised at all. Let's get the aroma. The can was £1.25, being the small 330ml can. Ooh, smells okay. Oh, I like that aroma. It's got a slight kind of lime. Almost like it's like on its way to being a Berliner Weiss, but with a lot of hops in it. Hence it being called a funky IPA. Well, if you're new to craft beer, if you picked this beer up in Lidl, not knowing what you bought, and you've somehow come across this beer review, we'll get into all of the why this beer is funky, why it should be a bit sour later on in the review. But first of all, I just want to get into this one, and we'll do all the describing later on. It's got a slight tutti fruity floral aroma to it. A spiciness, a pepperiness. It smells very good. Very good. And let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Oh, I like that. I like that. It's not massively funky. I think it's still first and foremost IPA. Even though it's 4.8% ABV. They probably would have been better off, Harbour, calling this a pale ale. I don't know why they felt the need to call it an IPA at 4.8% ABV. I think the guys at Harbour would have known better. Perhaps it was the room on the can, but I think pale ale would have fitted. If they put it slightly smaller instead of the IPA pale ale, I think it would have worked better. I think it is struggling in terms of IPA. Juicy, funky pale ale, yes, in abundance. IPA, not so much. Breweries, they always start off, what I find, they always start off kind of doing great things. I remember Harbour doing great things and getting all their styles right. Whether, they know, without even getting out of bed in the morning, Harbour Brewing Company are experienced enough to know that a 4.8% ABV in the craft beer world, the people buying this beer know that it's not an IPA. So why have they suddenly gone down the whole kind of, oh, you know, we don't like they've forgotten, or they've gone down the road of holding their hands up, going, oh, maybe it was a mistake, or something along those lines. But it is funky. Let's concentrate on the funkiness. We've had a bit of a rant now about it being, it should have been called a pale ale. I think most of you agree with that already, probably, that a 4.8% ABV beer should be called a pale ale and not an IPA. So let's move on from that. And let's talk about the funkiness, and let's break the funkiness down for our new viewers who might have tuned into this after picking up this little beer at random in their local Lidls. So first of all, the carbonation pushes the beer on the inside of the mouth. It's quite tropical in terms of IPA, in terms of pale ale, should I say. I'm making that same mistake. It's got a little bit of orange peel, a little bit of fleshy blood orange, a little bit of passion fruit, grapefruit going on. A little bit of bitterness on the back end. But then there's a funkiness. There's a slight kind of sourness coming through on the beer. It's like saltiness, maybe. And the brewer has either added a little bit of lactobacillus to the beer, so that stops the beer being sweet. It wants to go down, the malt in the beer wants to go down the road of being sweet, but lactobacillus kind of, it hits a junction. It's going along being sweet, 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 hits the junction, and then it has to head off into a sour direction. That's the brewers knowing this, knowing what they're doing, knowing how to change the direction of malt from tasting sweet to sour. They've done it in a way that it's not massively sour. It's just a little bit of funkiness going on. I like the beer. I do like the beer. I just have that slight issue with the calling it an IPA when it's 4.8% ABV. It's very chuggable, it's very drinkable, it's very refreshing. I think it's a worthy beer to be at the LIDL Craft Beer Festival, I really do. I think this little can here, I think a lot of people have been buying the big 440ml cans. I got a can of Tone Burst over here. They've been buying the bigger cans and enjoying the bigger cans. But honestly, I think if you look slightly smaller, if you pick up some of these smaller beers, like the next beer that's going to be on our channel from the LIDL Craft Beer Festival is going to be by Drygate. This is a Disco Dirigible Peach Raspberry Pale Ale at 5.1% ABV. And I picked up the small cans first, because I know for a fact that these small cans, I've never had a bad beer from Drygate. I've always had a decent beer. And the small cans went in first, and then I kind of chose the bigger cans that I wanted to review on the channel. So same for the Harbour. I've never really had a bad beer from Harbour, and I still haven't had a bad beer from Harbour, because this is pretty decent. It's pretty decent. So I'm glad I picked them up for review. They're well worth it if you see it either this week, next week, or in the future, if they have another beer festival, LIDL, and they re-release them. I like that. I like it enough for the price point to give it a 7 out of 10. It's a 7 out of 10 from LIDL Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers!